All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll let people kind of filter in. I know people are excited to talk out in the hallway. Glad you all made it here. This is the session on the Web3 earning economy and blockchain earnings, so kind of play to earn and other earning opportunities in Web3. My name is Lance Walker. I'm going to be the moderator today, and I'm really excited for our panelists here. Those of you that don't know them, I think you're in for a real treat. So I'm going to introduce each of them a little bit, but mostly let them introduce more of what they're working on, and then we'll jump into some of the topics here. We may have some time at the end for audience questions as well. So first up, we've got Aaron Guyette. He's the CTO of Unnamed Technologies, and it seems like you guys are kind of building in beta right now, and you've got some partners that you're building with. I'm excited to hear more about what you're doing. So I'm going to pass the mic to him and let him introduce a little more of what they're doing, and then we'll go down the line here. Next up is Whitney Meine. She's with Nifty Arcade. They've sponsored the arcade out here in the hallway. You guys can check that out between sessions. And they're onboarding and helping. I think what I've done in Web3 is most closely associated with what you guys are doing, kind of helping people in developing economies get into Web3 and Web3 gaming, and onboarding a whole new generation of gamers into Web3 gaming. And we've got Stacey. They just announced a raise a couple days ago from Animoca Brands, one of the biggest names in the industry. And so he'll talk to you a little bit about Cinder and what they're doing. And then we've got Karren from Nerd, CTO of Nerd. You guys just launched in, January? $100 million raise to build a Web3 incubator. And last I talked to Travis, his co-founder, I think you guys were doing 13 or 16 different companies in Web3. All kinds of different, I mean, it's huge, right? Right here out of Utah. So much going on in the space. I'm going to pass it first to Aaron and go down the line. Just tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in the space, and then we'll jump into some of the questions. We've only got one mic, so I got to pass it every time. So here's Aaron.
Hey guys. So I'm the CTO of Unnamed Technology. We're building basically the Squarespace of Web3. So we'll make it so that you can log on, and it's pretty easy to set up all your Web3 needs, from tokens to staking contracts, without knowing anything about the blockchain. So trying to get people from Web 2 over to Web 3. The way we're actually funding it is probably why I'm on this panel. We're building a game that's actually hopefully fun to play instead of just, a money grab. So
that's a good plan.
Yeah.
I'm the COO at Nifty Arcade. I like to explain our company simply, and it's that we're the property managers in the gaming space. So if you have assets like you would have a home, you would bring them to us, get those gaming assets, we'd match them with a player, and then we have a dashboard for you where you log in, you get to see what you're earning, what the player's doing, where they're ranked in the game. So we're just property managers in the gaming space, and so we call ourselves an arcade because any game can come to us, and we can start hosting their game, partnering with them, helping people understand the assets in the game. And then for investors, they don't have to learn anything about the game necessarily. They get to be a part of it. They get to be a part of the ecosystem and own NFTs. If they did want to take it back and play it one day, great. But if not, they can always just rent it out. So that's what we do.
Hey everybody, Cinder Studios broke off about a year ago from WildWorks, a company I founded 18 years ago. I've been in games for about 25, 26 years. WildWorks have been making virtual world games for over a decade, including Animal Jam, which they're probably best known for. We had taken a project that WildWorks had started and turned it into a blockchain-based virtual world called Cinder. We did our first NFT drop on February 16th, and we did just announce our raise from Animoca a couple days ago.
Hey, congrats. Hey everybody, I'm Karren. I'm the CTO of Nerd United. A few little things about us. We're building a platform for one of the largest meta participation ecosystems in the world. As Lance mentioned, we do have 16 companies that we are building the Web3 platform for. We're really excited about all of those. One of the companies that did come out of our ecosystem was Gala Games, so one of the really exciting ones that's already launched. Our purpose is to elevate the professional status of innovators and technical and creative professionals in the Web3 space. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And just one quick fact about us: we have added 150 builders at Nerd since January, so we're really excited about that. Thanks for having us here today.
How many are women?
I don't know the exact number, but
25.
25. But what I can tell you is that one of our really exciting women at Nerd is sitting right here on the front row, Cameo. So thanks for joining us today, Cameo. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks everyone. Very excited to have you on the panel today. So I just wanted to start off first by asking you what you're most excited about right now in the earning space. Gaming, obviously we have some gaming focused people on the panel here, but it extends beyond that, right? We maybe started this panel when they were thinking about this event as just play to earn, but it's expanded into all kinds of different ways to earn related to the the Web3 ecosystem. So speak to some of the innovations you've seen over the last year and what you're most excited about right now.
Yeah, I think we're getting closer to actually being able to earn and not get rugged. Steppen is a good example of that, where they have this, like I was talking about it earlier, they have a massive roadmap, which is probably too big, honestly, because a lot of these platforms pop up and they have these gigantic roadmaps and then they don't deliver. But Steppen's actually getting money. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that money. I'm a little tired of this space where these coins will pop up and people will buy in and they get hyped on it and then the economy just crashes. Gala Games was mentioned earlier. Gala is awesome. I was an early investor in Gala. The problem with Gala is they have an uncapped token. And so I hold Gala. Gala went up and now it's going back down. So the economy isn't there yet. But it's cool to see that we're getting closer. And I think projects are going to continue to get closer. But I'd still say we're a little ways away from where I'm going to be super pumped on the space. So just steps in the right direction.
One thing I'm most excited about, because we're so close to our players and our investors, that watching the games in this space in this last year has been awesome. And there's definitely been some things and rug pulls that's maybe worried people. But I think the biggest aha moment I had about 3 months ago with Splinterlands games is we had players originally coming to us and saying, I want to earn, I want to earn, I want to earn. We had the first experience where they're like, I just love this game, right? And they weren't like trying to earn more money. They're saying how cool it is. They're so excited about the cards. And so what I'm most excited about, and I'm starting to see now, is that games are being games first, and they need to continue to do that so that there's more users in the space and we can reward those early adopters down the line. But like I'm hoping everybody's just making fun games, because that's where this gets really easy and more users will come in. But that's what we're excited about.
Well, I'd have to say I'm most excited about the fact that we are almost, but not quite, through the BS hype phase of blockchain gaming. It's still there, it's still happening, but now you have real teams with real technology and backgrounds in this who are coming in and making games that are meant to entertain players and engage players. If you can't offer something different than what you can get with regular Web2 gaming or get on your PlayStation, then why would you mess around with a blockchain, right? Now we're finally starting to see some games and teams come out that are doing things that you couldn't do before. That's exciting.
Oh, great responses. I think it's important to remember that we're really early. This is a brand new thing, right? Like entertainment is not new, right? And the panel's amazing points about entertainment should be entertaining and fun. And I think that's because we're so new, there are so many new things being tried, and maybe some of the early projects thought that the purpose here was to entertain people. But I would also just add that it's not just entertainment, and there's the new thing here really is participation. And these projects are community oriented, and so we need participation. And there are going to be a lot of things that are going to happen that aren't just games and entertainment in this, kind of participate to earn space.
Great, thanks. So I want to dig into that last point, Tom, that you just made. So I've seen a lot of these things. Much the audience knows about different things. So I'm going to clarify if I hear something that may be something people don't know. So Step In is a project that is, I would put in the move to earn space. So you can buy a shoe NFT and you can use that to get out and walk or run and earn coins. So that's the project that Aaron was talking about. So we've got Play to Earn. Probably Axie Infinity is the most popular brand in the Play to Earn that kind of created the hype last summer, and had a meteoric rise that they couldn't keep up with. Tried to scale their servers. The game was crashing for 2 or 3 weeks. Finally got it back online, but their development schedule was so far behind that they couldn't build a fun enough game to get people engaged, right? So their economy just got trashed. So we've got the Play to Earn space. We've got the Move to Earn space. I've heard Watch to Earn thrown around with projects like Veracity that are kind of verifying identity on the blockchain to reward people essentially for watching different things, participating in watching. Theta. And then the Participate to Earn, this piece, I've heard of like projects that are being built in a completely centralized way. Essentially, there's rewards for actions to build different things within the ecosystem. I'm kind of calling that decentralized freelancing almost, right? So do any of you have more comments that you want to make about other spaces besides the gaming space that you've seen, innovations that you've seen that are exciting, or other pieces of the earning economy that are exciting to you right now?
I'll take that one. One of the things we're working on at Nerd is a concept that we call Build to Earn. We're creating a platform that is going to be called Nerd Prime, that will be a blockchain that will attempt to provide rewards and incentives for builders and innovators on any project, not just the projects that are in our community, but any project. As a 25-year veteran of kind of the tech here in Utah, I feel like I'd really like to see us flip our culture from a sales culture, innovator, and a builder culture here. We've seen a lot of rewards and incentives that are really automatic in corporations in Web 2 for the sales and the marketing people, right? The executives are focused on the numbers in these Web 2 corporations, and so they just reward and incentivize the sales and the marketing people. But the builders, the innovators, and the creatives, maybe they get like a barbecue lunch or something like that for doing a software release on a Friday. And so one of the things that we're looking at, we're excited about all of the Participate to Earn companies, the ones in entertainment, the ones in kind of healthcare. All of those are interesting to us. Our particular project is to try to create a platform that we call Nerd Prime that will provide rewards and incentives that will be staked by project stakeholders, that will go out to builders and creators throughout the world. And we'd like to see tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of virtual nerds building and getting credit and getting rewards and incentives for helping out on projects.
I'll just to add to that quickly, we talk about create and earn a lot with Cinder because we've been working on games for the last 12 years where players would come in and spend hours designing an avatar, designing a home in the game, creating artwork that they would trade with other players. We had this whole gray market economy going in for art, going in Animal Jam, but nobody could ever own any of that. And that is really the thing that got us excited about this space, is that now the creators, the ones who everybody was admiring their avatars, everybody was admiring the cool homes they created, they can freelance essentially. They can do that. They can own those things and they can put their own value on them. Yeah, games like Roblox, for example, which is a fantastic property, great for game making. Less than 2% of players ever try to make anything because it's the learning curve is just too steep, and less than 1% ever make any money off of what they created. Roblox tells you what you can sell, and they take 70% of it. I don't. That's where the blockchain gaming space is going. I think it's going more towards true ownership and control of assets, creative assets that you invest time in.
Sorry, just to add one thing. When me and Clark were talking earlier, I was about these gaming economies. It's that people can win. Like if they want to win, they have the ability to win. I think in the Web2 space, it's a lot of take, and so kind of going along with that is just like the ability for people to participate and to get the rewards, not just the people in the cells. But I look at that in this whole entire space. We're creating a world where there's loyal customers or there's loyal employees, and we're building that economy where people can get rewarded for the work that they do. And the more they invest in these certain, whether it's time or a certain company, we're allowing them to win, not a space that just extracts from customers and employees. So.
We're building that as the contributor economy. So there's a company in our ecosystem that does gamified mentoring. And so instead of having, like, mentoring should be free is what I hear a lot, but people's time is money, right? And so instead of having the mentees pay the mentors, they mentor other people, and we've gamified that process. And so things like that can pop up where the value is in the engagement itself, and you don't actually have to have these companies or the people that are getting something out of it come and put all this money up front. So contributor economy.
So you can get paid in experiences or paid in, life exchange. I like that. So three of you talked about what I like to call take rate. I kind of got that term from Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz. Those of you that don't know Andreessen Horowitz, one of the biggest investors in this space, just announced another fund of like $4.2 billion this week, which I think is the largest crypto-focused fund or blockchain-focused fund. So he talks about, you're saying, Roblox takes 70%. That would be their take rate, right? You're saying that builders get a barbecue lunch. Whatever the barbecue lunch didn't cost would be the company's take rate, right? Minus the salaries of the individuals. So the take rate is like the rate that's taken by the company. And what Chris Dixon likes to say is that Web2's take rate is Web3's opportunity. Because you can spread that around to individuals and incentivize them, the more that the best talent is going to rise to the top, and you're going to get the best contributors. So it seems like that is what you're seeing across the board. How do we make that sustainable? Because we've seen so much hype. The hype and excitement that gets into the space drives these coins and economies to great heights. How do we keep that sustainable? Because the concept seems to make a lot of sense to me. The money's all there, right? Previously or currently, it's going to the company's pockets and going to their bottom line. How do we change the culture of these earning economies or the way they're set up to make them sustainable and get people excited to come in and spend their life energy over a sustained period of time building things that give great experiences? Any of you want to start that one? Clark?
Right. I mean, we talk a lot, and we should, about things that blockchain is changing in the existing business world. There's a couple of things that it has not and will not change, though. One, you don't make value out of nothing. And two, businesses have customers. For a games business like ours, players. And if players aren't coming in and putting more money into the economy, and that can be their labor, that can be their cash money. But if they're not putting value into the economy, then ultimately entropy is going to peter it out, right? They have to be playing there for entertainment, and they have to be getting the value out of it that they're putting in. If we're not delivering that, if we're not delivering that kind of experience, then it doesn't matter what the take rate is. What really matters is that people are invested enough in this game that they are willing to put money into it, and others are invested enough in the play and earn economy that they're willing to put their time into it and extract some value from the other players.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think as I was kind of like thinking over these questions, what came to me is in the Web2 space, we have these customer loyalty programs where we built a really good company, and then we come out with the ability for customers to get rewarded and to participate. And I think like we need to do similar things here where we don't extract and we make promises to everyone that they're going to win to everything, but those people that become loyal, they have ownership, they start to participate in building the brands, the games, and everything that's going on. They're going to be loyal customers that can refer more users into this space. And the only way these ecosystems are going to thrive is by getting more users into this space and us being able to build something that rewards properly. Like building an ecosystem where, the top 10% players are going to win. They're going to win in the tournaments, they're going to win, and they're going to have the ability to do more things. But that doesn't mean somebody coming in won't have a say, they won't be a part of the community, but they may not be able to extract all the value from the tokens. And so there's got to be kind of a level playing field there. And I kind of see that as the people that are willing to participate more can be rewarded more because they are bringing more users in, they're putting more time in, they're spending more money on the assets. And so I just compare that to the Web2 space. Any typical customer loyalty program that you have, you build a great company and you keep those customers because you start to reward them and they start to bring more people into the space.
Thanks. So what does that look like? You've got to have more people putting money in than are taking money out, right? Is this like an 80-20 rule, like 80% love just the free to play or freemium kind of game where they end up buying little assets or spending money on NFTs and they just love the games and they put money in, and then there's a small group of people, maybe 20%, that are extracting? Is there anything that you guys have to say about the structures of the economies? A lot of these games, we're seeing a 2-token economy where one of them is essentially kind of like equity or crowdfunded money. The other one is just an uncapped utility token. I've seen some games that are coming out more that are way more complex. They have a hybrid model where some of the assets are on chain and some of them are just in the game, and you're trading assets within the game, and then maybe extracting certain things to go trade on chain. But it's so much more complex that it's not as simple as just I play this, I earn this one thing. There's more work that goes into figuring out the value of all the different items, which causes people to keep more in this system to build more long term. I don't know if that still ends up being unsustainable. You obviously have to have more money in than going out. But talk to us about what that looks like from an economy development standpoint, or how game developers need to think about these economies as they're creating these games. Tom.
So I'm not a gaming expert, but as far as like value exchange in economies, it can't be everybody in the economy is earning, right? If everybody's earning, then where is the money coming from, right? So platforms, whether it be a game or some other type of participation platform, there has to be some participants in that platform, you could call them stakeholders, who are investing. And the goal is that they're going to get some sort of value exchange, right? So in the idea of a builder economy, we're envisioning that there will be people who want to get things done. Those could be DAOs, they could be Web3 projects, and they're willing to put money into the ecosystem, into the economy, in order to facilitate getting something done. And then, what we would like to see is for appropriate rewards and incentives for the builders. And one of the things that we think would be important would be not just, did I get paid for participating, but did I get recognition? Because on an ongoing basis, for example, a creator in a game that made some, really awesome art for the game, part of the reason they did that was maybe they wanted to earn, but maybe they also just wanted recognition for their skills, right, on an ongoing basis. So we think there has to be value creation both for the participants and the builders and for the people investing into these economies, essentially. You have to have, the builders have to be creating something of value for the people who are putting the money into those economies.
Yeah, economies mold themselves around revenue flows the way that canyons form around rivers, right? So in the mobile game space right now, you have 80% of your revenue coming from the top 2% spenders. So consequently, most mobile game companies have changed game design in 100 subtle ways to focus on getting big spenders to spend big in those games. And how many people here have put money into a mobile game before? You've spent money on candy. And it's a lot more than that. Okay. All right, but I'm guessing that you haven't put like, $5,000 a month into a mobile game. But the mobile game companies are after the people who are. And what needs to happen in the Web3 space to make that different is that the value that's coming in, the people who are willing to come in and play and pay money for it, are having a good enough time that they're spending $5, $10. It has to be easy to get in. It can't be a commodities trading game like the complex systems that you're talking about. It has to be competitive with Web2 gaming in its simplicity and approachability. I would much rather see in Web3, I think it's an opportunity for most of the revenue to be coming from the bottom 80% of spenders. And those are people actually putting money in. And then there are people who are willing to invest a lot of time in producing creative assets or in grinding in the game. And they're taking a meaningful portion of that value out.
Yeah, one thing just to add, I think what would help is if we created the context of just like owning something is meaningful, not extracting. I think every game in the space right now is dealt kind of a bad card already because there's already the precedents that we have to pay out in the gaming space. But I think what we forget for the gamers and the people that want to be in this space, that just having the ownership and being able to transfer that, whether in the future we can do that in between games, but creating the value in the things that they wanted in the first place, like having a say over what's happening in the game, having ownership of those assets, feeling like there's value there for them and that they're part of a community. I think because we keep putting so much pressure on blockchain and earning, and you can be in the space and you want to be in the space because you're going to make money, like it's just the conversation around it too that I think will help change the extraction mindset for the players or the owners.
I kind of agree. CSGO, which is a good example because they have a huge skin trading market, essentially, you could buy skins for guns, and people were selling those. It's Web 2 based. And that worked because there were rare ones, right? And so they would get more expensive, and people would go out and buy them. But then that fades over time. Something that's a little bit better of a case study would be something like gacha games, if you guys are familiar with those. You have to buy, essentially, it's different in every game, but you can buy heroes, and you have to get like the same hero numerous times for it to be very valuable. That use case hasn't been explored too much on the blockchain, but that's a perfect example of me purchasing something and it getting value because I get better in the game. And then if I could also sell that asset when I'm done. The problem with that is those games are power creeping, so every time they release a new hero, it gets harder and more expensive to get to the top, which is what we're not doing in the blockchain yet because there's already a huge barrier to entry for like Axie Infinity, for example. For a while there, it was like you had to spend $1,500 to buy 5 or 3 Axie Infinity to get on. I don't think we're there yet. I think these complex models that he was discussing earlier are a good way of us exploring the options that we have because we can't have these massive barrier to entries and then once you get in, you're super at the bottom, right? That's not fun for anybody. Time is a good way of doing it. Like if I get on and I sink in a ton of time, but as all these games come out, I want to play a lot of them, right? I want to use a bunch of different things. So I don't want to sink time into something the way that I used to like 20 years ago when I could sit on a computer, right? And that's why you see these stories of like 12-year-old kids that pop out of Axie Infinity and they're millionaires. So I think we're getting closer, kind of what I said in the opening, that these complex models that are going to be testing it are a good way for us to determine the best way. But I don't think we're there yet.
Great thoughts. My mind's spinning on just some of the Web 2 successes that have come out of kind of this concept of a creator economy that were done completely different than I think they would end up in Web 3. So one of the ones I'm thinking of is Dota. Are there any Dota players in the audience here familiar with Dota? Yeah, so Dota spawned out of a basically an SDK from Warcraft 3. So it was like you could build your own maps and whatever else. And one of the players just built a game on their SDK, and it became so popular that they spun it out. Valve bought it, put it on Steam. I think it's probably the biggest game on Steam. And they've got the largest prize purse in the world for esports every year. I think last year it was like $40 million or something like that for the Dota International. And that just spawned out of somebody that was excited about the game builder within Warcraft 3. And what did Blizzard do? Anybody know what Blizzard did when it spun out? They sued him, right? That's what happened. So I feel like this concept is like going to twist that on its head of how do we incentivize that type of behavior? How can we get those builders to build things, and then, if there are hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people building things within your platform, and you get the benefit of that, and the economy then chooses which ones are most valuable and rewards those creators. It's just a completely different world, right? So thank you for those thoughts. I want to move on to let's talk about the difficulty right now of just user experience. I think it's a big barrier right now. I think about Axie Infinity, which became so big. Initially, the barrier was transaction fees on the Ethereum chain, right? So they built Ronin, but then you had to be in Ethereum and then bridge to Ronin and then transact on Ronin. You have to have these different wallets. And in me trying to help people in my life just get into Web3 and kind of participate, those user experience barriers to entry are just so big. How do you see that evolving to get like normal Web2 gamers or normal Web2 users into Web3 and into the blockchain? Do you see how that's evolving currently? I think it's got to become where it just feels like using a browser rather than how difficult it is now. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on how that's going to change in the future.
The easy answer is fiat, but you get into legal there, and so that assets and regulation are probably good, which I don't know how many people are going to agree with that, but there's a talk later that you should check out, I think at 11, about that. But you can't have, I think there was a number that came out, it's like 140,000 people are actually purchasers of NFTs. That's it. That's the market. It's 140,000 people. That's a little dated, so somebody might want to fact check me. But that means that when we're trying to get people to buy into these game economies, we're not targeting a big market. So opening up that market by creating tools for people to onboard with fiat is good. But there needs to be regulations for that to happen. And I think that's the avenue where we're going to see a huge explosion because we're still super early in the space.
Yeah, I'm excited about this question because our goal is to build that technology. We are putting a platform together so that players can onboard, and it walks them through onboarding, and they'll be able to go right into a game. Obviously, it's really early and we're just starting to build all of this out, but we really I like the word, we're not using it when we talk to other people, but I feel like people would understand we're like the console of gaming, right? So you can put your game in your Xbox and it pulls it open and you know exactly how to get into it. And so pretty ambitious, but I think that is our goal, is to partner with games and build that tool that's going to connect everyone, go through the onboarding process, give them the content that they need to understand it and interact with it. So hopefully we're the solution. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll see. Over this next year, we're going to keep building and keep everybody up to date, but we would love to, you know, go over those barriers and create an easier space for that.
Fundamentally, this is game design 101, right? Whitney and I were talking before the session about the arcade days, which is when I started designing games. I am that fossilized. And then you put in 25 cents, you've got 3 minutes to get the next 25 cents. And we talk about this in the games that we make all the time. What is the first 5-minute experience? If you spend the first 5 minutes in Pancake Swap or going through some other convoluted, you're not going to get people. One of the ways that we're trying to solve this in Cinder is that when anybody acquires one of our avatar NFTs, we drop creator tokens to them. They're able to use those creator tokens to create and design new NFT avatars themselves, and we encourage and incentivize them to give them away, to give them to friends who are maybe not into Web3 gaming already. And that's the way I think that things will start to spread more virally, is Web2 gamers who are excited about this bringing their friends in.
Web3 is in the dial-up internet days. I worked at Novell, when the web was rolling out, and I remember Eric Schmidt talking about, he called it the worldwide wait. He was always like throwing shade at the internet, right? And then he left to go do Google. That's where we are. I would frame it maybe less as the problem of Web3, but the opportunity of Web3. The opportunity is to solve the dial-up internet phase of onboarding users, right? Somebody wants to buy something. Oops, they need to transfer money from their checking account to Coinbase. Then they got to whitelist an address, right? Then they got to move some Ethereum and pay the gas fee. Like, that's the opportunity of Web3 right now.
One more thought. Even though we're talking about the adoption, I saw this stat the other day that 49% of transactions on the blockchain all of last year was in gaming. So there is an adoption problem. There is complexity in this space. But if anything is going to move users into crypto for crypto to stay around, it's happening in gaming.
Test. Okay, so another crazy stat to go along with that. At least at one point last year, there were more people in the Philippines that had a Ronin wallet than had a credit card. And they were exchanging SLP, the Axie in-game token, at lots of different local merchants. So that is, I believe in that a lot, that gaming is getting millions of people onto the blockchain transacting, just kind of getting used to it. My question is that going to become obsolete quickly as we stop having to use the dial-up phase, right? Think back to like trying to load a page, I'll go eat dinner and then come back to finish my homework and do this research. But do you have any more ideas? Maybe this is best for Whitney, but any of you of what that actually looks like? Like what does that user experience look like? Are we still too new? I can't envision it. I can't envision it being easy. Which again is the opportunity, right? Whoever can solve that or envision that and build it is gonna be the next Google or something, right? So how do we do that? What does it look like? What does the user experience look like? Do you guys have any creative, exciting ideas of what that looks like?
Yeah, I think an incremental step towards it, what you could see it looking like is the reason that we're on Solana, which is something like the Phantom wallet, which is a much easier user experience for setup. I think about countries that I've visited in Central or South America, Brazil, Colombia, big economies where people like you, who are young professionals, good-looking folks, don't have bank accounts. And they're working for law firms. They're doctors. They don't have bank accounts. They don't trust them, and they probably shouldn't. They're unbanked, so it all goes through mobile. It goes through boletas, and it goes through you pay for charging up credit on your mobile phone at a physical location, and then you pay for everything with your mobile. That is incrementally towards where that's going to be.
It's definitely mobile. Mobile is, there are more unbanked people with mobile phones than there are with personal computers. So wherever that solution comes from, it is going to be on mobile. The onboarding will be mobile wallets.
I think it might be social accounts, actually. Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter, if he goes through with it, he's going to have access to 550 million people where he can drop a token or force them to use Dogecoin. And so if they're signing on to a game app with Twitter and they have a wallet connected to their Twitter, that would be a really simple integration, right? So that's something I think we're going to see.
I've heard that 400 million of those people are bots, though. Yeah, so we're gonna open up for questions here in just a minute. So the last topic I want to ask is just how you see this earning economy and creator economy leveling the playing field between the United States or very developed economies and places where people haven't had as much access to stores of value or earnings that are on par with the kinds of earnings you can have in the US. This is a huge passion of mine. If I had to point to one area of Web3 and blockchain that I love and that I'm passionate about, it's this, because I feel like so many people have lived their entire lives with double-digit inflation, no stores of value, no banking opportunities, and we talk about privilege in different areas. I think that in the U.S. we're blinded by financial system privilege. We don't even understand what that's like to get paid, and you can't save your money, because if you save your money, it's going to be worth so much less, and you can't buy anything that stores value. So you're literally just getting paid and going to the grocery store, and that's your entire life, and that's all you can ever hope for. Even if you are somebody who would be responsible with your money and like to save. So how does this earning economy change that for people that are growing up in places that's their reality currently?
Just to give some more context on how we even got into this space is we had a tuk-tuk business in Madagascar that we've had over the last 3 years. And during COVID, the government decides to tell everyone they can't drive, they can't do anything, they can't earn. And nobody owns anything over there. And so really kind of the idea of Nifty Arcade came out of that whole concept of we had drivers, we have 150 tuk-tuks and drivers that can't feed their family. And we happened across an Axie Infinity article. That's like where this whole company was born from. And we said, holy cow, they just need a phone. And they can earn, and they understand this. The thing about the Philippines and Madagascar is they understand this space quicker than we have, because they understand that they can exchange value with a token. Whether that token's like $1 to us, to them, it's 10 SLP, can I have some rice? They know how to work within this, and kind of that business was to give, it was like a micro financing business. Over 3 years, they earned the ability to own their tuk-tuk, so they could go from making $1 a day to $13 a day. But blockchain just changed everything when they could come in and they can learn a skill set within a game or any of these other ideas that are coming out. And they have the ability, and what we say is we want them, one, to have the ability and opportunity to earn, but our goal is to create kind of a world of content where they earn, save, and they invest, and they actually have ownership. And in my personal opinion, and I'm going to throw this out to the world, but I believe in the next 10 or 20 years, the minimum wage is going to be the same across the globe. I don't see that not happening with crypto being decentralized and people having access, because there's really incredibly smart people all over the world, and in developing countries there's some of the smartest, they just don't have the opportunities. So the fact that we have these opportunities and blockchain gives that to them through their phone, they're not stuck with what's happening in their country. We're going to see, I think, everything change.
Yeah, I think the gatekeepers in banking and finance are not the only reason that that this wealth inequality is a difficult problem, but it is a big one. And when you open up the opportunity for digital workers to make money and in a way that's secure and identifiable and works for both ends of that transaction, then you've opened up, and we can't ask these folks in Madagascar or in Brazil to move to an economy where they're not cutting things down and digging things up without giving them an alternative. And an alternative is things like what Whitney suggested. It could be tuk-tuks that investors here are putting the initial capital into, and they are deriving the value out through their labor, but it's all happening through the blockchain, so that the difficulties of doing those cross-border transactions aren't there. There's a ton of opportunity in Web3 just in providing those assets or that capital to folks who are going to innovate just like crazy with it.
So I appreciate the panel's comments, and Whitney especially. It sounds like you have experienced this, and you've done some thinking that's out in front here, and I really appreciate that. I don't have the answer. I just want to say what got me here is the opportunity for us to work together to create these meritocratic economies for people. And I would just challenge everyone, like, let's get inspired. This is bigger than when we did pets.com and Google. Now is the time for us to get inspired. We have a technology capability now to create meritocratic economies and opportunities that could level up disadvantaged people all over the world. And the solutions are going to come from the builders and the participators, not from the panel, like literally from the people in the audience here. And so my kind of challenge to everyone here is get inspired. Let's figure this out.
I love it. Feeling inspired. Getting chills. I'm so passionate about that part of blockchain. So we have a couple minutes left. What questions do we have from the panel? Just raise your hand. I'll bring we got one back here, and then I'll come up here. Probably just have time for a couple questions. So tell us your name and your question.
Hi there. This was awesome. My name's Jack. I'm kind of new to this crypto space, but familiar with gaming. And in the last year and a half, the industry has seen recent acquisitions that are massive. To me, this is inspiring. My question is there's an ongoing conversation of onboarding people into this upcoming space. And for me, is it providing opportunities, and this is open-ended, providing opportunities for individuals to earn in this space, or creating experiences that people want to join and be a part of? And which comes first, the opportunity to earn or the opportunity or creating something great, investing early, and people join that? Thank you.
Is it? Oh, there we go. It depends how long you want your project to last. If you don't want it to last long, you go for the earning. If you want it to be a good project, you go for the experience. So you should go with the experience. That's the way I'm trying to build, and then hopefully the money will come later. We'll see, or I'll be on a cardboard box. So.
Play to earn is a dead end. Play and earn is where blockchain gaming is going. If it's not entertaining, there's not people putting their money, their effort into it at the top of the value chain, then there's nothing to come out the bottom.
I just want to say I want my $1,000 back from Clash of Clans because I have no value there. So maybe one day they'll figure it out.
You didn't get $1,000 worth of value? Okay, next question here.
Hey, my name's Hayden. So I've played video games my entire life, and coming into this new space, what's the regulatory bodies when you're trying to create a P2E platform? What type of things do you have to go through when you're going, globally, and you're trying to really hit those communities that could really benefit with these type of platforms the most? How do you guys navigate those regulatory and local governments and so forth? Do you guys just kind of send it and hope for the best, or do you have some type of system that you go through and try to decide which communities you're going to market, or how does that work?
My co-founder's a lawyer, so I'll preface that. That helps. We're trying to get a no action from the SEC. So beforehand, anonymously, and then we'll go down the line. You shouldn't go into it blind. A lot of these companies are, and then they deal with it later. So they'll come out and they'll like you said, send it, and then they're like, oops, and then they're in trouble. And I'm for regulation. So I think once the space is regulated, Germany did something really cool, which is pretty similar to like what regulations on day trading. But if you hold a token for a year, you don't have to pay taxes on it when you sell it. Yeah, and I thought that was a good start. I'm hoping we get something like that here, but it's just, I defer to my co-founder on questions like that, but it's a lot of work up front to make sure we're doing it right.
Is your co-founder here today?
He is. He's going to be moderating the policy thing in like 5 minutes. Oh, awesome. Yeah. So.
The general answer is, yeah, be careful. Like, there's definitely dragons here. We are on the digital frontier. There are good actors and bad actors, and we're way out in front of the regulators here. And yes, you can definitely get hurt. So you need good legal advice.
All right. Yeah. We probably have time for one or two more. Maybe we'll go over since we didn't get to start on time.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I come in this space from an educational and employee development perspective. And I'm seeing a lot of opportunities outside the gaming space to help people do what we want them to do better, what they want to do better, take trainings, developments, healthcare, civic engagement. And I'm curious if you can talk to anything about how you see this space in the future helping to make people live their lives better. Or do you?
Anyone want to take that one first? Aaron?
Yeah. I mentioned that startup earlier that's in our ecosystem. It's actually an edtech startup. It went through a couple edtech accelerators. I think that, so I was in education before as well. So I taught at university. Criminally underpaid industry. And so I think blockchain can help with that. I think that things like MOOCs, which I wrote a whole thing on before I got into blockchain, so obviously I was headed in the right direction, is a great way for people to make courses and then pay, or like you could do subscriptions, so you buy an NFT and then you get access to this person's course and then utility abound. One of the other things you mentioned was healthcare. One of the things I think we'll see over the next couple of years is there'll be a blockchain for just providers, and also, like, for example, probably chips, so I won't get into that, but like if I go into the hospital and they can't do anything if I'm unconscious, right? But what if providers had access to a secure blockchain network that had all of the info, all of your health records? So I think we'll see something like that.
Yeah, the thing that got me interested in this space from gaming is the smart contract end of it. And I don't think we've seen the killer app. I don't think we've even imagined the killer app for smart contracts yet. The fact that you can not only have verifiable identity, but essentially run code on the blockchain now, I think amazing things are going to come from that, both, I mean, in education, in business, in arts and entertainment.
Sorry, one more thought. So I said this earlier, but our mission is the earn, save, and invest model. I think in the U.S., I'm not exactly sure how that translates to our current system, but I know in developing countries, until they've earned enough money to put food on their table, they don't care about the next steps of learning. And we've done that. We tried to educate before they earned. And it didn't do anything. And so I think gaming is just opening that opportunity for us to educate, because once they can put food on the table, then they're willing to learn, and then they're going to invest back in this space, because it's how they're going to get out of the poverty trap. So I believe in developing countries, we're going to see that a lot. I think in the U.S., it's going to take us a little bit more time.
Okay, I know we had a few more questions. We're going to end it there because we're over. So thanks. Let's give our panel a big round of applause. And if you guys want to come up and chat with them after, that's great.
Fuck a rich bitch, having rich sex. Smoke a lot of trees, need a weed plant. But did tickle lean where the lean at. Sleeping on these G's is a beanbag. Got red going jeans, cause I'm cool rap. Bought a spaceship, now I'm a space cadet. Big white mansion in my habitat. Aim a lot of sticks like a laser tag. Fuck a rich bitch, having rich sex. Smoke a lot of trees, need a weed plant. But did tickle lean where the lean at. Sleeping on these G's is a beanbag. Got red going jeans, cause I'm cool rap. I'm a space cadet. Yeah. Metro bought 2 protectors. Boom. We the dripping, got these niggas wet. We on the Illuminati way.
Sitting tired on the 45, I'm a high drive. Headline, nigga, headline. Sit back, get a headline. Yeah. Drop out when I'm woozy. Low fade, took a boosie. Treasure time for the booty. She make it slow, still moving. John loud, still whooping. On my side like the Louis. When it's time, never chewing. Never breathe, matter where I be. Write the hits, make a centerpiece. For me and fast, what they sending me. Got them here, never let them leave. Pray to God for the homies. It's okay, yeah. I can't feel my face, yeah. It's alright, it's just some nights that I can't fight, yeah. Out of spite, she live a life. It's okay, I can't feel my face.
Sounds on my body, scoot up and forward. My drip hurt like soy, my jacket Sephora. She wanna put me on TV like more. My face is numb from the codeine I'm pouring. She broke me up when I'm busy, I'm touring. New city, new foreign, she call, I'm ignoring. She wanna be my new like Lauren, but that's just too boring. I'm busy exploring girls on handlebars. First menage a trois. I don't want no pause, but them pills just touch so hard. She defeat the odds when her feelings get massaged. Ceiling full of stars, pop a pill and play a part. I'm so hard. Drop out when